So how you doing?
I'm good, and how are you?
Fantastic. I'm glad we were finally able to, manage to finally get this second podcast. So
Exactly.
let me start off. Actually, you know what? I'm not gonna even do I mean, usually I do the whole presentation, but since this is gonna be our second podcast, we'll just kind of start it, and then I'll put it in the title what number it is and all that because that's like boring information anyways. So how have you been?
I'm pretty good so far. I have been really busy last year. Normally, sometimes you think during to the pandemic situation you're not doing anything, but I was just
Right.
literally super busy. How about you?
Awesome. Yeah, same here. I mean, we didn't really get, I know you guys over there were just like on serious lockdown. The mayor here is not as crazy as most of the other states, like California and New York. And I mean, it's just those people, those states are just, they're like, I don't know what they're doing. They're going crazy. And so here in Florida, we got, I mean, obviously we were on lockdown for a little bit, for about a couple months, 3 months, two and a half, 3 months. And then, after things kind of started getting really crazy, he started understanding that, hey, if we start shutting down restaurants and we start shutting down these small businesses, they're all going to we're going to put them out of business. So there was a lot of requirements and a lot of restrictions that they were trying to put on these businesses, but they tried to be as relaxed about it as possible. Um, so I think that was a good decision. And because of that, actually, believe it or not, California, I don't know if you've heard about this, but because of how bad things are getting there, California and New York, people there are just like literally getting the fuck out of there. And they're like, you know what? We're going to Texas or Florida. So
Totally.
I think it's a good thing that I'm here in Florida.
But the perfect thing is that we are just having the podcast now, and we can even chat literally in virtual components. That's pretty awesome. And thanks for having me again back on this, and to just catch
Yeah.
up is always good.
Of course. Yeah, no, I'm so glad. I mean, I know that things were a little hectic and I wanted to kind of catch up with you before the end of the year, but I totally understand. I know how many things you got going on and same here. I mean, one of your questions, obviously the first question actually was how have you been keeping, or excuse me, that was my question. Your first question was, yeah, let me see, let's go through them. It was what had happened since the last time we spoke on my side. So let me kind of run that by you. Did you watch the video I sent you or you didn't get to watch it?
Yeah, I watched the video, and it's
Okay,
pretty
cool.
amazing what you did.
Awesome. Cool. Okay, cool. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. So yeah, I tried to be as productive, I think, as most people were trying to be as productive as possible. And one of the things that I really had my mindset on was I needed to somehow find, different the personalities on social media, things that were trying to keep away from all the negative portion of the whole COVID situation. Because believe it or not, I don't know if in Europe this is what was going on. Maybe you can tell me, you can kind of give me some info on your side. But I'll tell you one thing. This past year, as far as automotive dealerships goes, they have had record sales from the past 10 years. They have never sold so many cars in comparison to this past year.
Oh wow, okay.
And it's a weird thing because you'd figure, wait a minute, people are dying of the most insane, this virus that took over the world, the financial, I mean, it's affected the financial portion of the entire world in and trying to plummet certain markets and it was going, I mean, it just brought down so many different things. How the hell can it be that these automotive dealerships were selling at record setting numbers? Well, that's a simple question or a simple answer. The most wealthy people on the face of the planet this past year got literally tenfold. They created tenfold of their wealth, which is crazy.
Wow.
Um, I'm sure you heard of like Jeff Bezos becoming the richest man in the world just a couple months ago, and then Elon Musk
Yeah.
somehow beat him, and a lot of crazy stuff. So obviously the wealthier got wealthier, and what did they go out at? What did they start doing? Well, they started to go out and buy cars, buy supercars.
I would do the same if I had that budget. No, to be honest.
I know. I wish we could have been part of that group, but
Exactly.
it's amazing. So I obviously have a lot of contacts in some of the biggest dealerships here in Florida, and I started reaching out to them, and they were telling me, I was asking them like, "Oh, what's going on at the dealer? Is it dead?" They're like, "What? Dead? What are you talking about? We can't fill up our inventory fast enough." And I'm like, "What?" So I had a couple conversations with these good friends of mine and contacts, and it was just crazy. Um, Including Prestige. Here, obviously, Prestige Imports is one of the biggest Lamborghini dealerships here in Florida and in Miami specifically. and it's crazy. Their inventory usually is 300 cars, 280 cars, usually almost all supercars. When I walked in there, I was there just 2 months ago. It was crazy. I spoke to one of obviously the owner there. His name is Brett David, very cool guy. Huge car enthusiast, and he's been doing absolutely amazing things with his dealership. And his story. I'm going to try to get him on the podcast one day, which will be really cool. But he's always got a billion things on his plate. And I was talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, it's crazy. We're 20% down on inventory. Like we're 80% down on inventory. We can't." And right now they're actually trying to buy cars, and they can't even find cars to buy. So yeah, so that's one of the things that I started to keep myself busy with. And what I wanted to do was line up for, obviously, when things finally got unrestricted, to start doing some cars and coffees, car shows, car events. So I was kind of waiting for that. That in combination with the owner of John Zalingua, which is one of the owners of the biggest cars and coffee in all of West Palm Beach, he actually had to do a transition where they no longer wanted to do the place that he had, the location. They were not allowing, they didn't want to do the event anymore because of COVID, which is pretty ridiculous. So what ended up happening was that he transitioned, and there's a very famous track that used to be called Moroso Motorsports. Mm-hmm. It's now Palm Beach International Speedway. Mm-hmm. He actually did a deal, I guess, with them, and now all the events are going to be moved towards the racetrack. So that's actually a plus.
Yeah.
So I was working on that, and just been trying to keep as busy as possible. I even there's some other things I want to bring in, but I want to get you a chance to talk. So let's kind of switch over to you.
Yeah. So your question was, have you been keeping busy for the past 6 months? And I can definitely tell you yes, because literally at the end of the year, I got so many requests from, hey, can you just join the sim race here and the sim race there? And I was like, okay, guys, my system was not even running since the January 2020 season start. So I just tried to keep up with that. But I did not have the full kind of equipment here to be on the spot and competitive. So I said, okay, just give it a pause. And then as you get many requests and people really wanting you to race, I just put myself into this and started to learn iRacing and try to make a race on ACC as well. So that was a kind of mixture, because I was just stuck busy in my sim after my work. So I literally didn't even left my room, because I was since March in the home office. And then you go from work to sim racing to just work out, to eat, to sleep. That's it. So I haven't seen many people. I've just worked my ass off, to be honest.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and I had many commentator jobs, so I'm busy.
Let me ask you a question, because last time we spoke, actually, you had told me that Germany was going back on lockdown, and you're probably going to be stuck at home for the next, I think it was like a total of a month or 2 months?
It's a year.
Well, not obviously from when it first started, but I'm saying when we last spoke, remember, I think you had told me that things were they're going to get worse, or they were just going to keep on. So it was a full year that you weren't out, but you were allowed to go outside. I mean, how was it over in Europe? Because I know it's a little bit different than here in the US.
Yeah, so literally we were in the first phase, started last March, where we were told just to go home, and then they tried to open it up during the summer. I was in the office last year 20 times. That's it. I haven't seen any other people, mainly. And because the problem is they just, the numbers were quite good in the summer, but then it was clear that we have the second wave coming up. And it might be coming a third wave, to be honest, what I predict right now. I'm not a doctor, but from what you see and what everybody tells you, I mean, if you open it up right now and we have the mutants everywhere and not everybody is on vaccine, this is kind of a tricky stuff. But and this is why I said I don't have to go to the office if I don't see anybody, right? Because so many people are at home, and then I can sit at home myself, right? So doesn't matter if I see people virtually, then I can stay there and have more comfort in that sense. I don't have to wear a mask at my desk. And I mean, the canteen was partially closed and open again and closed. So this said I don't get even food and cannot walk outside. So this was really ridiculous. And I said, okay, I'll just stay at home. And I haven't really seen many places.
Anybody.
Yeah, really. This is the bad thing is people just go on vacation. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Okay, I've been in my hometown and this is my vacation for the year. I haven't moved out of Germany. I have moved to just 10 cities from where
Hmm.
3 I know already, or every city I knew. And it was just more work related and there is no vacation or
Right.
fun combined with that. So that was a kind of tricky thing. And it will continue because we don't go back to the office right now. We have only 30% allowance to be back.
Right.
And this will stay a bit.
So, and how are things on the streets and like restaurants and just everyday life? Is it really, does it seem that is it weird to see so many like little people on the street, or is it kind of getting a little bit back to normal now?
I mean, it was so quiet last year. We had no
I know.
planes. We
Yeah,
heard
of course.
birds. And this is the funny thing. Pigeons, they really inherited every space because it's so quiet. They're everywhere. Like I could kill these animals really literally,
Right.
but oh gosh. And then I mean, you had a good time because the air quality got really better, which you can really
Right.
feel. It was you had so many noise and the flowers were it was really nice in the summertime and I could go out cycling, but then they closed the restaurants again and they closed
Yeah.
all the shops. So we only are allowed to do groceries and this is open. We have gas stations open, doctors and all that stuff, but
Right.
restaurants are still closed. You can only do pickup, right? And this is
Right.
still since December and they try to open up some parts. We now at least can get our hair done in
Wow.
March. So
Of
yeah,
course, for the females, it's like, oh my
yeah,
God, finally, it's
exactly. So this is kind of what happens here. No, this is really it's really tough, but I mean, what has to be done has to be done in order to prevent people from really getting sick. And the thing is, this is so getting weird. Normally, last year you would just heard nobody of your friends were involved in COVID, right? But now the circle of where people get infected are getting closer. So you hear from friends, "Oh, I got this already 2 times," and I was like, "What?" And
right.
right, it's not predictable at all. So that people really who normally are careful, they even get it. So then it's
Right.
just like to tend to become more careful. I don't know.
Well, I will give you a little personal experience I had where this is something different, and I find it very, very strange. So I was hanging out with a good friend of mine, my friend Thiago. He actually, me and him did a podcast on something completely different, firearms. He's a huge firearms. He's like you and me about cars with firearms. Um, and he's a really cool guy. It'd be really fantastic if maybe, I mean, hopefully when the things, when the borders open up, maybe you could take a trip here and we could all go to the racetrack and then we go shooting.
Yes,
It'd be a
please.
fantastic,
I'm
be
in.
fantastic. But so I was with him. He actually got stuck here he got stuck here literally like in the U.S. and he was here with his parents and my mom and his parents. I mean, we're all family. He's really like I look at him like a big brother that I never had, a brother from another mother.
Mhm.
And so we were having a good time. We were trying to make the most out of it. He also has a YouTube channel that he does all things with firearms, and I was helping him with that to kind of keep busy as well.
Mhm.
And so his parents, they got a little, well, his dad specifically got a little antsy, and he was like, "Oh, I gotta go back home." Because the thing is, with his dad is like, and they have a beautiful, amazing apartment here they have two apartments actually, at the yacht club, which is, I mean, it's an amazing place. It's a very luxury type of apartment. Obviously, the name of the yacht club, you can kind of understand what type of place it is. And he just got a little antsy. He was like, no, 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 we got to go back to Brazil. And they were here for about I believe his parents were almost 6 months, 6.5 months. And imagine they were safe here. They weren't going out. His parents were being very cautious, just like more, other people's parents.
Mhm.
We were all in that portion of all. He had even sent me videos like when it first started of. I think it's one of those videos that went viral that was in Italy with these little kids that just could barely breathe. I mean, it was a very shocking, it was a very scary thing. I will say that in the beginning, it was like living the movie Outbreak,
Mhm.
and that's something that's a little weird too. You have all these movies that have been put out that were trying to kind of give, I mean, not to get too conspiratorial, but you know how it is. Like there was a lot of movies that were trying to kind of put out this idea of an outbreak and all this stuff, and then you see it for real life, and it's a scary thing. So he was here, and we were doing a lot of videos on his channel and recording for that. And his parents, you're not gonna believe it, his parents went back to Brazil. Guess what happened? They got
Got
COVID.
sick. Yeah.
And he told them, he's like, don't go, don't go, don't go, whatever. It doesn't matter. So you're not gonna believe it. So me and him, he got to spend another 6 months here. Was almost here for a total of a year, and he doesn't have his papers, so he was only allowed a year, and then he had to go back. You're not going to believe this. This is where I have to start raising a little bit of questions for. He ended up getting COVID. I don't want to go into the how he got it COVID because he doesn't really understand it, or he kind of understands, but it's a long story. But he got COVID. Now I was with him. Okay,
Mhm.
literally. I mean, it's not like we were wearing masks inside inside of his apartment or anything like that. I was with him when he got it. He didn't know he had it until he started noticing that his taste and his nose, like
Mhm.
his ability to smell and his taste, started to really get bad. And he got a tiny little bit of a fever, but nothing crazy. You know, his blood sugar level and all that stuff was normal, and then he finally got tested, and he's like, dude, I hate to tell you this, but I got COVID. I'm like, what? And it was weird because I'm like, holy fuck, did I get COVID? But I didn't have any symptoms whatsoever. So it's weird because I was literally in a car with him. We were going to the range. The range was open for most of the time. And we were hanging out, and I didn't get COVID. So it's a very, there's obviously like different strands now. Now they're talking about a new strand that came from Europe, and it's going to start everything all over again. I don't know. There's a lot of fear mongering. I just think that obviously, yeah, we have to try to prevent the whole spreading of it as much as possible, as much as governments can reinforce and restrict or restrict. But the thing is that there was other countries like I think it was Switzerland that were doing the herd immunity.
Yeah.
I get it. They only have like 10 people in that country. So it's a small country and maybe they could afford to do that type of immunity. But the thing is that this thing is literally all over the place, everywhere. Oh, and his parents, by the way, they didn't, I mean, they got sick, they got COVID, but they weren't like dying. I mean, his dad had a little bit
Yeah.
of trouble breathing for about a week, but then he was okay. So, and it's one of those things. I get it. There's just it's changed the world. I think we're never gonna go back to normal or 100% normal. It might take years, but
Mhm.
at least we're all trying to deal with this as much as we can. So,
Exactly.
um, but that's great. I'm glad that you were kept busy, and I've been keeping busy, and I got a lot of other crazy stuff going on. And I don't want to say too much, but I will tell you this. Um, I'm planning on something really huge. I'm gonna hopefully be opening up a very special type of dealership here in Miami.
Mhm.
I can't say too much, but it's gonna be do you know the Shelby CSX cars?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Um, I will probably, hopefully, in the next couple months, I'm going to be opening up a dealership. It's going to concentrate only in that, but not only is it going to just be a dealership, it's going to be a full blown. It's going to be a garage. It's going to be a place, well, not a garage, but a place where all types of car enthusiasts here in Florida and from all over the country and all over the world can visit. We're going to be having events every month. We're going to have track events. We're going to be doing the advanced drive. Oh, that was the other thing that I think that we didn't talk about. So this whole past year, I was thinking about something that I wanted to do. I've been wanting to do for a long time. It's called the Advanced Driver Supercar Experience, and
Mhm.
it's basically exactly what it sounds like. It's a training course that I'm doing with my company, AG Supercars, that I want to be able to train people properly, car control, drifting techniques, proper braking techniques, and spatial awareness. And those are the four main aspects of things that I want to teach. Because as you know, on the first podcast that we spoke about, there's way too many people out there that have daddy and mommy money. These kids that have these hypercars and supercars. They're
Yeah.
wrecking them
Yeah.
on a weekly basis, and it's just I'm so sick and tired of seeing it, and I just can't stand it anymore. So what I wanted to do with you was so with the dealership. Sorry, I'm like jumping around. So the dealership, it's going to be I'm basically going to incorporate the Shelby CSX cars into that program as well. So I'm going to be teaching that course with the Shelby CSX cars. It's going to be really amazing. Um, I also reached out to. Have you ever heard of the YouTube channel called Daily Driven Exotics?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Damien, yeah, Damien and his friends. So I actually reached out to them. I haven't gotten a response yet because it takes a little bit with them as how famous they are. But what I'm gonna be trying to do is I'm gonna invite them over to come here to Miami to do the course. Damien doesn't really need too much instruction. He's a good driver. You could tell, and he's actually done a similar thing up there. I think it was in Canada and California. He went to a place where they have an actual course, which is really amazing. And that's something that maybe we'll take the cars over there and do the course over there with the Shelby cars. Um, so I'm gonna invite him. I'm gonna invite all the types of big like social media influencers that are in the automotive world, like Shmi 150, which I actually reached out to as well.
Mhm.
He was here, by the way. He was here for about 3 weeks, just 2 weeks ago, which was really
Cool.
awesome. He was doing a whole bunch of amazing videos. Um, I'm gonna maybe be featured on VinWiki. I don't know yet. I have to reach out to them about the whole story that I told you about with the E36 M3.
Yep.
So that's gonna be pretty awesome. And so a lot of stuff going on. But what I want to do with you, I would love to invite you whenever the chance, when they open the borders. I'd love to have you come down and be part of the advanced drivers course as well, because I obviously would love to incorporate you into this all these amazing things. And obviously YouTube videos, like that's just the most important thing right now, is like starting to finally, get YouTube videos on both our channels, your channel, my channel. So
Yeehaw! Can I move over to the States, please? I need a green card
please
now.
come on down. No. What did you call it? What did you call it?
I need a green card now.
Oh, green card. Okay, good. I thought you said kid card. I'm like, no. Don't ever call those CSX cars kid cars. That's like
No.
kryptonite. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to be in talks with the owner of the company that I can't say the name of the company, but the owner of the company, and he's actually here in Florida as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Oh, there's a show coming up now, April 17th. A good buddy of mine has a show called it's going to be the third annual show they're doing. It's called Wings, Wheels, and Fashion. I'm going to be doing that show with him, which is at the Executive Airport in Fort Lauderdale. So it's basically done at the airplane hangar. They open up the airplane hangar. Private jets, supercars, and fashion models. So
amazing concept.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool, and it's been running pretty good. This will be the third year, so we're going to be doing that. I'd love for you to come here for that, but I don't think you'll probably make it, right? I don't think that orders are open.
I'm probably not allowed to just get out of the country. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, I'm just living in the wrong country. I just told you, right? So
what are you talking about? Woman, you're in Germany, okay? Home of the Nürburgring. I don't have to tell you these things. Come on now.
Yeah, I mean, the Nürburgring is a really big advantage we have here, to be honest, right? But in terms of having all these kind of supercars and meetings and living the easy life and having a good time is actually in the States, right? So here it's just like the boring in comparison to what you have done, right?
That's true. For the people that are lucky enough to make it's it's one of those things. I think a lot of people, unfortunately, they have a little bit of resentment when they see people like, oh my God, these fucking assholes, they get to make fucking YouTube videos and they're making a fortune. It's like, yeah, but you're seeing the end result of a lot of years of hard work and, it takes a lot of hard work to do these things, especially podcasts and video editing. And it's just a bunch of stuff.
It's 24/7 work. What you do, what I do, right? It's like that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's, and not everybody, and people have to understand too, it's like, it looks really easy to get in front of the camera and start talking. And there's a lot of people that obviously now are doing that, vlogging and getting themselves on camera. But it's a different thing when you have to have all these numbers in your head, about all the specs of the cars and translating all that information while you're driving, concentrating on what you have to talk about. It looks easy, but for anybody that has done this, they'll tell you, especially you, when you get on camera, you really gotta be sharp. If you're not sharp, you're gonna look like an idiot. And people are not going to watch you. So it's not as easy as most people make it out to be. But
the funny thing is that leads actually to our both second question is about sim racing, right? So when I normally race, and no matter if it's in sim racing or in a real car, I'm not a super talker, right? So I just focus on my driving and that's it. But last time I was invited to be on a really famous race, a 12 hours race with Lucas Luhr and all these kind of guys, really awesome. Professional drivers. And then we had a TeamSpeak channel open. So we were together with our team, but they're constantly talking, making fun and jokes and everything. I was driving. I was like, guys, shut up. I can't concentrate. But then in the middle of the race, it was actually entertaining, right? So normally nobody speaks to you. And then you have to really be focused on the driving and just listen to what they say and talk with them. So this was like double work. And if you then master this, then you can master it everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah, so let's go into that because we're already 24 minutes in. So tell me about actually you asked me about sim racing plans. Listen, exactly. I met someone very special during COVID as well. I didn't know this, and it's in my own backyard, and I was like, how the fuck did I not know about this place? But it's a pretty new place. There's man, I don't have the guy's card. The guy's name is Anton. He owns an amazing simulator company. Racing simulator company, and he actually had there's a place called Park House 1. That's where they were. They're not anymore because they've actually moved now. They got their own building, and they're going to be in a place called Wynwood, which is really cool. I got to meet him, which was insane. My friend Thiago was the one that told me. I was like, oh, did you hear about this sim racing place? I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And he told me about where it was, and I'm like, dude, that's right next to Park House. So we went. Park House One is it's a huge Porsche. Like a Porsche enthusiast garage, and they actually had from that location where they're at now. They already moved. They had to kind of downgrade as well. But we'll leave that for another podcast. But the sim racing place is absolutely amazing. It's he's got like professional grade, like the type of simulators that they use, the Formula One race car drivers use to to have track time while they're not on the track. I mean, it's the full. You probably know even more. I should have learned the type of the name of the actual model. It's the one where it's a full blown like motion censored simulator that obviously has like 180-degree huge panoramic screens. And I think it has 20-something points of movement, I think it was, or 24 points of movement. It's like serious stuff. It's like full-blown professional racing simulators equipment. So, and he sells these kits. He's got different versions. He's got everything from 20,000 to all the way to like, I think it's like 150,000. It's ridiculous. So I told him, I said, listen, I'd love to be a part of this. I'd love to join. And they were doing competitions. Unfortunately, because of COVID, they've had to put the brakes on that. They've had to literally slam on the brakes on it. So he's going to tell me soon, they're going to be doing a launch at their new place. Him and his partner got a brand new facility. I went to the facility just a month ago. It was absolutely amazing. Huge building. And I was actually looking for a place to put the CSX cars into, the Shelby race cars into looking for a place for that. And he was actually offering me a small portion there, but it's not going to work out because one of the owners is actually going to use he made his own EV company, electric vehicle company. And I'm like, come on, seriously? Like an electric vehicles against like one of the most iconic race cars of all time? Seriously? Like, come on. But, business is business. So I wanted to ask you if by any chance, because I want to join them with what they're going to be doing, maybe me and you could start doing racing, like simulator racing, which would be awesome.
Yeah, the thing is that, and I only saw that as a good training, to be honest, in the first place, and still it is for me. So I just train to be working on some parts of the Notschleife where I'm just literally a bit of, let's say, trying different corners, different speed exits, entries, every kind of that stuff. So this is pretty good for training. But it also was fun because we ramped up and had a ladies team running in special series. So that was also great to see that many ladies are coming into this sport right now and taking it seriously. So that was actually cool. And you just be noticed if you are in the scene that really professional racing drivers just ask me if sim racing drivers, right? So that I drive with them. I was like, guys, you do sim racing for 20 years and I'm like the newbie here, right? So you have to really,
a newbie.
Yeah, you have to change your entire driving style because sim racing, you have another approach of driving in terms of the real racing world. And you always, if you come from real racing, you just have this kind of, oh, this is the budget thing you have in mind, right? Because you don't want to smash the car. And even if you're on the sim racing, you just always think like, oh, I can't go in this corner. No, this doesn't work, right? So you just be a bit more cautious. But you have to switch your mind. And this is really awesome that you can learn so much. And this world is coming together, right? So this is what I find good on that side because sim racing got a huge exposure. And luckily, it's seen as a training and it's seen as a professional kind of sport right now and not like just gaming because you have really pro drivers, even last year, who came from sim racing and they made it to the real race cars that quickly. So that was really like amazing to see that.
Well, I want to ask you, what rig do you have?
Actually, that's a real racing seat. It's the FIA 885 standard, which is out of I think it's out of a Subaru. So I just took that and we mounted it on a let's say frame. It's from Simatic, but you have different kind of frames you can mount this on. And I have just no triple screens. I have no widescreen or curved. I just have a normal TV screen, which is 43 sol. I don't know how inch. I don't know.
Yeah, 40 inches.
Yeah, but and then I have. The gaming PC is way far from being professional, and it doesn't even allow me to stream when I'm racing. But it's doing the work, and I have, which is really great. This year, ramped up the system, having FLATOUT wheels and base, and also pedals. that makes it a bit easier because you have a load cell and everything that makes braking better, and you have better turning points and a direct drive, which is amazing. So that even just got me into finding few seconds at least on the track, which was in previous times.
It's amazing. That's huge. That's enormous.
And now I'm just on that edge to drive in the simulator and to understand the differences between those, because I'm racing on iRacing, Assetto Corsa, and Assetto Corsa Competizione. The rest I've not used to, no race room or no R Factor 2 or whatever. It's in place, but yeah, these three are the big ones, as I would say, and this is the difference is huge, but it makes fun.
So, so while you were just finishing that sentence, I looked them up because I do want to give them credit. So it's called Allin Sports. That's the name of the company. Allin Sports. Allin, like ALLIN Sports, racing simulator. That's the company. You could probably look them up. They have an IG, obviously, and you could go ahead and check that out. And and your rig. What steering force feedback steering wheel do you have?
It's the Club Sport Formula One racing wheel, and we have the DD1 base, and we have the V3 pedals, so this is pretty good. The thing is that there is no motion, which is kind of a problem, because I'm normally a person who has this kind of feeling under the butt. Has to be that. But you have to visualize everything, and this is what I try to focus on right now, to just be faster with steering and progressing. And this is really good to train on the static simulation, but I also like to have the motion ones. Of course, the motion simulation centers are all closed at this stage due to COVID, but when they open up, then this is good to have a mixture of both to train on. But yeah, from now, I just at least have it at home, which is kind of a bonus.
Awesome. Yeah, the ones that they have, I believe, because it says right here on their page, it's 6 degrees of motion. So those are pretty serious. Those I know are, those are, I think, 40, 50 plus thousand. I think they're up there. Yeah. And it's funny. I did a little bit of sim racing, not with them, but I did it with another company that was dealing with sim racing products a couple, like 2 years ago. And I'll tell you something. Something was a little weird when I did the actual, and they had a really amazing rig. What I remember seeing, and the guys telling me, the owner, he was explaining to me that, this is coming from someone that also, like you, has raced on a racetrack for real. There's a big difference. They are getting very realistic. I think one of the most famous one is iRacing, right? iRacing is a huge one.
Yeah, it's brought all over the place, and many people are racing this. Yeah.
Right. What's the second one? What's like another one that would be right underneath them?
Yeah, for what I would like is Assetto Corsa, because you have at least...
Assetto Corsa, okay. Wow.
But it depends if you ask people. Normally there are more people tending to have R Factor 2 or Race Room, which I think is not that big as Assetto Corsa, because this is what you can also play on the PlayStation if you want.
Right, exactly.
In that sense. But from my understanding and what I feel is, in terms of, some people say in iRacing they don't care about the visuals, but actually I have to turn down all the video components to such a low resolution that it's just sometimes pixels springing around. So this is not the real world for me. So I just try to make it on the track. But if you have Assetto Corsa Competizione, where actually the details of this simulation is so great that you really feel that you're on track and everything is so precise and sharp, then this is for me like more immersive, and I have more the feeling that I'm sitting in this car and race on a proper racetrack, because you see everything, right? So that's what I feel or appreciate as a real racing driver, to have a good kind of simulation in terms of the detail they pay attention to. Even the raindrops or the rain, snow, whatever you have is more realistic. And iRacing doesn't even have rain, right? So if I want to train rain on Nordschleife, which you normally have, then I can train it on Assetto Corsa and use the Sol mod, which is an extra mod where you can just have different kind of settings. And normally, Nordschleife is pretty much in the snow or in the fog or in the rain. Right. So that's actually good to train on.
Let me ask you, Laura, how far are you from the Nürburgring?
The fastest time I've just made up to there is 1 hour 5, but I was really like...
You were kicking ass. You were hauling ass. It's awesome. You're racing to the Nürburgring. It's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so not that far. Oh my God, I'm so jealous. We have to do a switch. You can come here to Miami and enjoy Miami. You come here. I'll show you all around here, all the amazing spots here, and then you go, okay, now we're gonna go to Germany. Let's go.
Exactly. That's what we do.
Let me tell you, it's I know how probably you've been to the States though, right? You've been here to Miami.
Yeah.
Or you've never been.
States.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. But you've been specifically to Miami, right?
I have been, of course, 2 times already.
Okay, cool. Well, how long ago was that? I think that you told me on the last podcast. It was.
I think it was 2009.
Okay.
It's a long
Okay.
time ago.
Oh, so yeah, come now and I mean, 2009, that was 10 years ago. Downtown was like half of what it is now. It's crazy. It's grown a lot. Um, cool. Well, let's go. We are starting to strain off, and I tied on time. I don't want to take up that much of your time. So let's go to. So we just talked about sim racing, pretty much. We'll cover some more after, maybe more detailed stuff. But you had asked me which motorsport series you find most interesting. Well, that's a fantastic question. To me, let me tell you something. I am a huge Can-Am supporter. I wish I had the power, and maybe that's a goal of mine. I mean, it is. I know it's a goal of mine to try to somehow bring Can-Am back. I think that would be one of the most important things in the in motorsports world right now. I'll tell you why. Formula One, I think we talked a little bit about last time, is no longer and hasn't been as exciting as it was 10 years ago. V6 twin turbos are not exciting to listen to. They're not the screaming V10s that we all have yearned to come back. And you know what's funny? I don't know if you saw that post by, I think it was Alonso. He went out on a couple laps in the 2000 and it was like a 10-year-old Formula One car that had the screaming V10. That shit exploded all over social media. There's a reason for that. Yeah. We want those. Yes, exactly. We want to be able to. There's nothing like that screaming V10, those high revving V10s that just literally can shatter glass with the decibels that they put out. We want that back. Formula One, if you're listening to us, please stop. Stop with the bullshit. We don't want V6s. We don't care about V6s. That was one of the reasons why they had to actually bring back mechanical grip, because they were losing that amount of viewership. They're like, we have to do something to make this more exciting. And they finally at least brought that back. Okay, so they brought mechanical grip back. Okay, now fix the other problem. V10s, we want them back. Okay. I can't, so anyway, so for me, Can-Am, so to kind of, what's after Can-Am that is still available? Le Mans. I think Le Mans, let me say it correctly, Le Mans. Le Mans, I think, is one of the most exciting, still exhilarating race series of all time. I'll tell you that there's not that much politics that there is in Formula One, which I think is one of the things that's destroying Formula One, is the politics, the bullshit that's in there. There is still some politics, but it's not as bad as Formula One. And there's also what I really love about Le Mans, even though that most of the cars, yes, like GT3s, GT2s, LMP2s, the LMP1s, all the race cars that are in these race series, technically they are full-blown race cars. But the fact is that the iteration, the foundation of that car still came from a street-legal race car, or excuse me, a street-legal car. And I find that fascinating because it's one thing, I mean, not LMP2s and LMP2s, but GT3s, GT2s, Yeah. I mean, especially now, like with what Porsche's been doing with their GT3s and their GT2s and GT3 RS, GT2 RS, and I mean, the 48 Pista, all these cars, the Ferrari Challenge series, all these cars, these are still, I mean, it's like they're literally grabbing the street version of the car and they're turning it into a race car, not the other way around, which is pretty amazing. There are some cars that obviously are being turned from race cars into street cars, a little bit like Ford did with the new Ford GT. Yeah. But even that thing, as much as I love the design of that car, V6 twin turbo. It's not exciting. It's not exciting. It's not exciting. We want the fucking engines. Please give us real engines. So I can't. I get it. The technology has to move forward, and now I think we're starting to see a really scary time because we're starting to see the push. McLaren this past week, V6 twin turbo. Like, I mean, they're really starting to push, and I get it. It's not the manufacturers. It's the people that make the regulations, the governments. Yeah. I know you guys, Europe, I think it's by 2031, 32, they're trying to be completely carbon neutral. Like, I think you would know, but is it 2030, 2031, 32, I think?
I don't even want to count, but this is too early to come to this place. And to be honest, and this is where we started last time, I would just still get me mad is this electric stuff, really. Yeah. This is the wrong way, in my opinion, because it's not carbon friendly at all if you have a diesel engine picking you up because your damn battery is out of power.
Yep, that's right. Come on. And I don't know if you ever saw this. You probably did, but there's a lot of people that might have. And go YouTube it right now. I remember when Jeremy Clarkson made, they did a test with it was an E90 M3 and a Prius. And they showed, and you could Google, just put Top Gear, Prius, electric car, I'm trying to think, just put that, it should come up. And he explained how dirty, like people don't realize how dirty it is, like how nasty it is to actually make an electric. First of all, the nickel plated elements that need to come out of the ground. Exactly. It requires so much carbon dioxide that's being put into the air just to dig that element up and then to put it into the batteries.
Right.
It's, and I get it. Tesla has kind of pushed the technology to a much better standard, and that's great. And I have nothing against Elon. I think he's a fantastic, he's obviously a very brilliant guy, very smart guy, but he's a genius. But like you said, this is not the way. And if there's one thing that people are missing out on, the manufacturers, which they all know about it, and I don't know why they're not pushing this, but there is one guy that's doing it, and he's all of our heroes, and we're going to talk about that next. But all they have to do to make, all you have to make to make a more fuel efficient car, just make it weigh less. We did get into this 3,000, 3,500, 3,700 pound range, which is not bad. But let me tell you something. You make the cars weigh 2,000 pounds, which there is one manufacturer that's doing it now. I think most people will know what we're talking about. But that's all you need. You want to make a more fuel-efficient car, just make the car weigh less. It's as simple as that. And with carbon technology now being out for 30, 40 plus years, that it's gotten very, very, a lot less expensive than it used to be, it's totally doable. I mean, I get it. It's still very expensive. But it has come down to the range where you could make, I mean, there's companies now, there's a couple companies here in the US that are making full carbon bodied cars for muscle cars, which is really great. I saw the company, they were interviewed by Jay Leno, which was fantastic. I don't want to give them a plug yet because I haven't even contacted them, but I'd like to contact them and get them on the podcast. And so it's, I think we're starting to see this huge battle that nobody wants to see. And I really hope that we're going to win in the end. There's one thing that might keep electric cars from actually moving forward and taking over, and that's actually called, I don't know if you've heard of this, synthetic fuels.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I have a friend of mine, he's an engineer at Pacar, one of the biggest engineering firms here in the US. He just posted something on his Facebook, which I'll send to you, and maybe we could put it out on our Instagrams. It's an article talking about how synthetic fuel might be the actual savior of the gas-powered engine, of the internal combustion engine, which I hope that, and there's not enough research and even talked about. Nobody's even talking about it because of the push of electric. And yes, me and you and everybody that's out there that's listening to this, we need to keep internal combustion engines alive because there's so much tech out there that can help them become just as, if anything, better, because it would be cheaper. It'll be a cheaper way to do it. There's no need to start pumping all these electric cars into the world, and they're just not. They're just not exciting, and are they good cars? Yeah, they're finally starting to get to that range where they're starting. But even the other day, I watched a video, like I'm on a car group, and I got a little disappointed. There was a guy that kept on fighting with me. So I'm like, oh no, electric is the way. And I'm like, really? Okay, here, let me show you something of the way it is. And, supposedly the range is supposed to be 300, 320, 340. Yeah. Real live tests that have been done by YouTubers, they don't even come close. They fall shy at 220, 230 maybe. I think it was 240.
Exactly. And then you drive 120 kilometers per hour. That's maximum, right? Otherwise, exactly. You ride 50 kilometers.
Exactly. And that's like using cruise control. Forget about if you try to start stomping on the accelerator and trying to get speeding up, slowing down. And I mean, with an internal combustion engine, if you floor it, you're going to run out of fuel as well. But even with tuning, you could change that. You could make that so efficient by just leaning out the part throttle mix, which you can literally make. I mean, you could even get 40 miles per gallon if you wanted into in a Murcielago if you tune it correctly. So I'm hoping that.
I'm hoping that as well, because the thing is, Walter Röhrl, right?
Who?
Walter Röhrl.
Who's he? I should know who he is.
He is Germany's most famous rally driver, and he works. Okay. He worked for Porsche, works still there. He's 74, and he's famous for his really straight-on, punchy lines. And he just said, "I'm 74, and I don't have the time to spend waiting on the electric fueling station to wait for my electric car to be fully charged." So this is actually what it is about, right? You just use anyway fossil fuels to make this car even be produced, right, with the battery and all
Yes.
that stuff, and then you use up energy, which is electric power. And guess
Right.
what? This doesn't come from a windmill or from a water station or whatever. It comes from energy stations, right? So
Right.
and still you can't even make a trip in time. I don't if you drive from Hamburg to Munich and you have to stop for half an hour, 1 hour to just refuel your car twice and charge it. So what? Then you take up more time for what?
Right. Yeah, it's that the charging, yeah, and one thing I want to add to it because I finally actually drove the first Tesla ever. A friend of my friend Thiago, his real estate agent, he decided he was going to get a Tesla, and this was stupid because he asked us, "Hey, should I get the new Defender?" Just stop right there. Yes. Don't even say anything else. Or should I get the new Tesla, the Tesla, not it's the smaller SUV. I don't know it because I don't give a fuck about to know. Okay, guys, I don't care what it is. It's a piece of shit. I hate it. But anyways, it's the smaller SUV, not the X. It's the smaller version of it. And he was gonna do a test drive and everything. He's like, oh, why don't you guys come with me? Because he knows I'm a car guy. He knows Chad was kind of a car guy. So we went. And let me tell you something. This is what it felt like. I'm sure you have been on a roller coaster, correct?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So there's a really famous park here in Miami, in Florida called Islands of Adventure, and there's a very famous one called the Hulk ride. And there's a portion of it that launches you at the beginning of the roller coaster. It actually launches you. It uses the same launching device that they actually have on the aircraft carrier, obviously toned down. But it's really fucking awesome. And that's what it felt like. Okay? That was the first impression. I just floored it. And okay, yeah, instant torque, instant power with absolutely no soul, no sound. It was the weirdest experience. I mean, that's what it was. It was a roller coaster. It was a roller coaster on the street. And I'm like, this is not, no, I'm not, this is not doing it for me. Like, this is weird. Now, the car itself, I will tell you, there's a lot of aspects of it that were really impressive. The interior acoustics, me being a drummer, I kind of picked up on this. It was something's going on with the acoustics in that car. They do something. I don't know what it is, at the shape or the interior materials. Something's going on with the acoustics where it was very amazing, where I was speaking to my friend that was next to me, and then the real estate agent was like on the back seats. It was weird. When he had his head all the way back on the headrest, he was talking to me, and I could clearly, it was almost like he was next to my ear. That was amazing. I don't know what's going on there. I asked him about the acoustics, but the representative of Tesla had no idea what I was talking about. I mean, he knew that there was something going on, but he didn't know why. The other thing that was interesting about the car was the braking, the regenerative braking. It's a good thing that they have two different settings, because I'll tell you, when it's fully set to give you all the regenerative power and it holds the car back a lot when you let off the accelerator.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very weird.
It's also dangerous, to be honest, if people don't really realize it. If you go off the throttle and you just start braking, but you don't see any brake lights, to be honest, really, people don't get it if they're just starting driving behind these cars and rolling to a stoplight.
Yes, correct. So it's not cool. So there was a couple of other things too that I didn't like. There was the one thing that I thought was amazing was the camera system that they have that displays everything in that center console that looks like a giant iPad. That was amazing. That was absolutely amazing. It's these cameras that are through an algorithm and all the software that's being pumped into the technology. That was amazing. It would show me like the head. It would actually show me the signal. It would show me the cars next to me, the design of the car, like the shape of the car, like if it was like in a digital format. That's really cool. I will give it to him. That's pretty amazing. And obviously the self-driving technology, listen, I wish Elon would just sell that technology to all the car manufacturers, but obviously he's not going to do that because then probably half the people wouldn't buy them at that point. So it sucks that he'll never probably get to that point where he would outsource that technology and just allow it to the manufacturers to, because imagine if we could have that on a Porsche or a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. Holy shit. Okay, we're now James Bond. Like we are... which would be amazing, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. So there was just a lot of aspects I didn't like about the car. Oh, and I have to talk about one thing. The one thing that I've always noticed on the construction of these cars. So if you pop the trunks on any of these cars, okay, and this is something that my friend Thiago also noticed. The welds on strategic places of the open hatch on the body itself. Let me tell you something. The welds on these things they're still garbage. In the beginning, they were really bad. They're still, I'm sorry, Elon, if you're listening to this, garbage. What is going on? Like, why can't you get this straight? Like, why can't you get this right? This is not a hard concept. I'll tell you why they can't get it right. Because they're a company this is another thing that people don't understand. Tesla is not an automotive company that's making an electric car.
Yeah.
They are a technology company that is literally making a car out of tech, and that's a big difference. They're not a Coachworks company, an automotive company. They're a technology company. And so then the other thing that was very scary that we saw, I am not saying that the brake pedal is going to break, but we looked at the welds on the brake pedal. Go to your local Tesla dealership, open the door, look at the brake pedal, and look at the welds on the brake pedal. It's scary to look at that's how the welds are being done. So that type of stuff, and there's been a couple of videos that have been put up on YouTube that say how not exactly safe the welds and strategic places of the frame are actually being made. That's because of their knowledge. They don't have the knowledge, and nobody obviously, I don't think, wants to reach out to them. I mean, I know they have engineers, but so that's enough about Tesla. But yeah, so anyway, so let's switch gears because I got you. We're at 50 minutes. I don't want to like cut you short or anything, Laura. So the person that we were mentioning, that one of my questions to you that I wanted to kind of cover, because we covered actually you asked me one thing and I'm going to answer real quick. Next plans you have for 2021, we kind of went over that. All the stuff that we were planning, that I was planning this whole past year, that's kind of what's in the mix for this whole thing. I want to obviously grow my YouTube channel. I want to go ahead and network with you and have maybe you come over here and we could maybe start doing some YouTube videos with the advanced driver's course, the supercar experience. That'll be fucking awesome. So that's kind of what I have for 2021. I think there's a lot of other stuff coming down the line, but I don't want to talk about it yet because it's not all that solid. So one thing that we have to cover, and my question to you was, this was the question itself. We have to speak all about Gordon Murray's T50 and T50S. I'm sure you saw the launch, right?
The thing is, I had to Google this morning. Oh, because I'm not following that one.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I can tell you why. Because I'm not a fan of this car in its shape, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. For me, this car, sorry to say, I mean, he might be a great designer, but I don't like it.
You don't like it? That's okay. You have your opinion. What don't you like about it? Is it the front end?
It's the front and the end, and it's actually the thing in the middle. I mean, it's great if you have
fan design. The fan.
It's horrible. I mean, sorry. In the rear, it looks like a Ferrari, and in the front, it looks like a Saleen, Koenigsegg, McLaren, kind of whatever. And in the car is round. I just like edgy cars, so that's the point anyway. But the thing is, I would be kind of distracted if I'm sitting in a center console, and I mean, this car must be pretty insane to drive. No clarity about that, but then you have your feet of your passengers next to you, left and right. I mean, think about the smell, and really the distraction you have when you drive, when you're just wobbling their feet or doing crazy stuff and moving their way around. You be distracted as a driver because you have to focus on the street, and then you see people so close sitting to you. I mean, this is really where I feel, I don't know. So to be honest, I'm sorry, but I'm not a huge fan. No. Okay.
Well, I'm on the other. I'm on kind of. I'll tell you this. I will agree with you. When I saw the T50 with the launch, I had a little bit of what you're talking about. I looked at it, and you're kind of right. It does kind of look Saleen the 7, a little bit of Koenigsegg in there. But in all defense to Gordon Murray, obviously, and the design, his design. Remember, there's a certain shape that these cars have to have in order for them to be perfectly aerodynamically sane. So it's hard to kind of trying to strain away. I'll tell you this. I think I'm looking at the picture of the T50S right now, and the T50. The T50 it looks a little plain. You're right. But the simplicity of it is one of the things that he has always sought after. He loves simple, super simple designs. So I think that that's something that inherently was just going to come out when he was designing his car. It's supposed to kind of look simple. It's not supposed to look like this crazy, insane, radical, most insane, incarnation of the McLaren F1 that we've all been waiting for, which the T50 started to take a little bit of that shape. Looking at the picture right now, yes, it does. It looks pretty simple. The fan in the rear, the fan design, I know it looks it's something awkward to look at. It is a little awkward to when you see it. But when you understand the history of where that fan, the design of it actually came from, the fact that when they were racing it at Formula One, literally gave him an unfair advantage that he was deemed I mean, they were. I don't know if you know this, but the purpose of it, Laura, was that the fan, what it is it's basically a vacuum cleaner, as he claims it to be.
Yeah.
It's a vacuum cleaner. So they were getting 30 miles per hour more than any of their competitors. I've been tracking this whole project since he announced that he was going to come up with a new car this past year, and that he himself, it was going to be a company completely directed by him and his own team and the members of the Formula One team where he's when he was racing 30 plus years. So all of that for me, and the fact that he was going to make a central driving position. That's a really good point that you made about people with their, but I don't know. I mean, I don't think you're going to be carrying around like bums, right? You're going to have people that actually take showers and are wearing shoes and wearing socks. But that's a good point. That's kind of a funny point you brought up. I mean, the feet being right there, that's kind of true. I don't know how close they would be actually. If you look at the dimensions, maybe it's done in a way where, but that is true. If you're taking, and then the way that, but I don't think that when you're staring down the road, especially being in that center position, you're going to have too much problems kind of, because that's one of the best. I mean, they have all said it. All race car drivers know that that's where you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to be on the left side or the right side of the car. So it helps you aim at the apexes and be able to mark the apex. I mean, every single time perfectly. So there's a lot of aspects that when I first saw like I said, the T50 is not as striking, obviously, as the T50S. Now, the T50S, I just saw the other day, and I was like, oh, like it just, for me, I'm like, oh, all I see is a new modern McLaren F1. Literally, I know it's not that, but that's what I like. Even the color they picked, it's like a brighter, crazier, more vivid, crazy type of orange, reflective metallic orange. It's just beautiful. And obviously, Niki Lauda has. Yeah. He's got, I mean, branded on the car. I mean, it's just, and the fan, like the branded the logo for the fan car. Yeah. It's just what this thing is going. I'll tell you this. He's fighting for us, Laura, because listen, it's a 6-speed manual. And these are the 3 things it had to have. It had to have a central driving position. It had to be a 6-speed manual, and it had to have a V12. And it has all those, obviously made by Cosworth. The T50S has the 3.9 liter V12. That's going to rev to 12,100 RPMs. I mean, we're talking, and the most important part of the entire car, it had to weigh less than all the supercars and hypercars out there. And I don't know if you know this, but the T50S weighs 1,878 pounds. That is less than 2,000 pounds in a modern supercar. This is not even a supercar. This is hyper race car. Yeah, hyper race car for the street. Like, it's just, and this is going to annihilate everything. And I think that I love the fact that he is the one person on the face of the earth that is going to finally bring back real motoring, like real, visceral, a real driver's car. This will be the ultimate hypercar, supercar driver's car, of all time, I think. And
the thing is, who is driving that? Because from the T50, you only have 100 models which will be sold, and this is about to have 2.6 million euros, and even the T50S is even 830,000 euros more. So look about 3.5 million to pay this car, and even the TS, I don't think that is 100. It will be just even less. So it will be a proportion of so less people driving this. Yep. I mean, that's what I really like about hypercars. It is okay if it's really like for the super rich and famous, no doubt about that. But if we want to bring this to the public, then it has to be a different approach. I mean, the T50S is definitely better than a T50, to be honest, really. Right. And also due to the fact that it is more racing style and it has the Niki Lauda homage on it. But who can afford it?
Who can afford it? Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing. I'm hoping that somehow, some way with... I know I might sound a little crazy by saying this, but you got to aim high. I'm going to try to somehow, some way, before they all get sold. If not, I might have in my inner working circles through AG Supercars, I might actually know a couple people that are going to actually put their name on either car. So hopefully I might have access to the car to go do a YouTube video. Hopefully. There's always going to be a lot of the social media guys. I mean, Schmief 150 will probably know somebody, and Stradman's probably going to maybe know somebody. But maybe somehow we'll be able to actually, but yeah, to afford it, that's going to be, you're right. I agree 120%. It sucks
but even if I don't fully like it, I will be jealous if you drive it. So
okay. Well, you'll be there. If I get to drive that car, get to be in it, anything like that, trust me, I will invite you to that so you could be there with us and And I'm actually working on something as well on trying to get Chris Harris. I want to do some networking. I have to do something with Chris Harris. But again, not the easiest person in the world to contact. It's like contacting celebrities, full-blown celebrities at this point. So hopefully me and you can, down the line, maybe 2 years down the line, we could also become those type of people.
Aiming high, right? And actually,
Aiming high.
last year I started to play the lottery because I thought, oh, maybe now it's a good time. But of course, I spent 50 euros and didn't even earn a penny. So kind of hard, but whatever. We never give up.
Well, I do hear you. I do hear you that it really does suck. But you have to understand. I mean, I know understand the engineering that goes behind this car. Definitely. The fact that this car is even being built.
Yeah.
I mean, the weight savings by itself is, I think, where a lot of the money by itself is going in,
Yeah.
This is not an easy feat. I love the fact that he's doing this. I'm going to tell you why. We might not be able to afford the 250 and 250S, but you know what this is going to do? It will push everybody else, all the manufacturers, including Porsche, Ferrari, Lamborghini. They're all going to want to get into, they're going to have to probably start, and we have seen with some of the models that they are finally starting to really try to get a 3,000 lower pound supercar out there that's actually attainable to the masses. So I'm hoping that that's going to be that's going to pave the way really to allow other manufacturers to go, you know what, we really have actually been missing, like we really haven't been on the ball. We've been kind of lazy. And you know what? Gordon Murray just fucking gave the middle finger to everybody, and we better respond, because if not, we're going to look really bad. So, Gordon Murray, we salute you. I wish I could have been there for one of the launches or anything like that, but that was definitely not going to happen during COVID. And, I'm not that famous yet, so I'm trying to get there. But I've watched the launch. I watched all the path of from day one to now recently when they just announced. And let me tell you something, I swear to you, when I saw the T50, the T50S, I got goosebumps. I was just like, all I saw in the design of it, you could see the McLaren F1 small little details that are there, like the rounded edges on the rear that match the obviously the McLaren F1 from the 90s. And I think it's fantastic. I think he's everybody in the entire automotive industry, the entire automotive world has to salute him and say thank you, Gordon Moore, for doing this, because this is the car that now really we've been needing. This is the car that we have really been asking for. I think we're already getting tired of the same old formula that these manufacturers that keep on pumping out. More power, more torque, more power, more torque, more power. And okay, stop. Like you're not creating driver's cars anymore. And obviously we've seen the death of the manual. So just the fact that I had the 6-speed manual and a V12 that revs to 12,100 RPM from Cosworth, that by itself. That, and I got to give it to Aston Martin for the Valkyrie, because they did the same way. They went that same route. They said, no, it's got to be a V12. It's got to rev to fucking 14,000 RPMs. I think that one revs a little bit higher, or I think it's 14,000 RPMs. I might be wrong. I'm not going to Google it, but it's a high revving V12 and naturally aspirated V12. And that, I think those are the three components that will make, again, will pave the way for probably the best driving cars that we're ever going to see on the face of the planet. But Laura, I think that's pretty much. Let me make sure that we, because I know you got to go.
No, I still have 45 minutes, so that's good.
Okay. Have you? Yeah, we talked about. Oh, that's right. So I had asked you my last question that we didn't go over, which was, have you advanced at all with the racing track days, and how has your racing on track been since the last we spoke? So I think you basically haven't been able to get any on track time, right?
Yeah, the thing we had, I had last year one race, which was the 6 hours race at the Nürburgring. And I think we spoke about that because our podcast was afterwards. So that was the only time I had really the chance to be on the track and swap the cars from a BMW to the Porsche. And hopefully this year I have the chance to drive the M2 CS Racing and a test, because I literally want to do this. And
that's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I love that car. So that's
awesome.
What I'm looking for. And hopefully I have the chance to do 2 races. Let's see how that goes. I just need to get my money together because it's all financed by me. So we don't need to talk about sponsorship because nobody has budget. But anyway, I was really lucky to work last year because I actually wanted to drive the 24 hours race. But the thing was that none of the spectators were even allowed to be in the pit lane. So it was completely empty and people had to leave the grandstands at around 9. So it was really even quiet at night. And the race was also disrupted due to heavy rain. So we had even not a 24 hours race in full. But the great thing was I was in the pit lane and I was interviewing several teams. So I worked for Nürburgring TV, and I had the chance to interview James Clickenhouse and Jesse. So this was really amazing to meet these two guys. Wow. And they explained me how their car works. I mean, was the first time or the second time actually their race car, the 004C, was racing there, and I was like, woohoo! And this is so amazing to see and actually to hear what he was saying, exactly the same thing. They are like a small manufacturing company, but they have so much heart into this. And of course, they have the financials, but they try to make it, they try to bring the old racing fuel into what we normally used to have and trying to build these supercars and hypercars and try to push it forward. And they are really looking forward to it and trying to bring the history back on track. So this was amazing to speak to those. And I also interviewed Novel Racing, which was the Japanese guys, and also Teichmann Racing, who had the KTM Expo. So this was really great to meet these people and talk to them. And
did you these were all podcasts, or not podcasts, but these are interviews that you did with them and you have on your channel?
Now this was this was a special let's say production, and for them they have now made their own kind of summary videos around the 24 hours race, and I did the interviews with them. Yeah.
So where can we see these? Are these already published, or they've been edited, or you're still trying to get them out?
They were not published on the Nürburgring TV channel, but they are on their own channels in YouTube. So probably, there will be summaries of the 24 hours race, because it was a client-based wish to have these videos together. And also I was interviewing the girls only team, because we have a girls only team where also the mechanics are female, and this was also fun because I knew them for several years now, and this is great to see and speak to people and being behind the camera or in front of the camera. So this is what I also really like. And the commentating is really what I'm trying to build up in parallel, because I love to race, but to be honest, for the 24 hours race, you need 10,000, right? I don't have this. I need to have people supporting me to get on living this dream further. I try to save as much as I can for next year, but and hopefully then everybody is back on track. But you need to have financial background to just go further with the 24 hours race. But for that, I just have my single races and just try to focus on the interview kind of scenery.
Right. No, that's fantastic. That's amazing that you were able to do all of that. That's awesome. I didn't even know that. So that's great. Maybe you could send me the links and stuff, and we could start putting them out there so I can, help you spread them out.
Thank you.
Especially for on the podcast, like for the description, we'll put them all in there so people could check all those, check those. But they're in German, right?
No, some of productions are in English.
Okay. So send me the English. Well, no, send me the German ones too, because but I'm just saying that way people can check out the English ones, because most of the people listening to this will not be, German speaking. Yeah. But hopefully we can get that audience up as well. Awesome. Well, we covered everything, which is fantastic. I'm gonna let you go because I know you got to go. I really want to, like I said, I really want to network with you. I really want to get to meet you. I really want to be able to do these driver films. That's one of my main goals, is to start doing these amazing driver films for all the manufacturers out there. I think we discussed the BMW films, which you were very familiar with, and this is something I want to do, but not just for BMW. I want to do one for Porsche. I want to do ones for Ferrari. But obviously that all takes a lot of planning, and I'm trying to get all the right people together. This is one of the things I wanted to reach out to Chris Harris about, which I know he'd be very excited about. So obviously I want you to be part of it. So let's keep on fighting for all that. I'm gonna keep on moving forward with everything, and hopefully the next time we have a podcast, maybe I'll have the dealership will be up and running with the CSX cars already in there, and we'll do a live one with video in the cars. It would be fucking awesome.
That would be amazing. Yeah, just keep on pushing.
Oh yeah, I'm pushing hard. Trust me. Cool, awesome, Laura. So let's and then you let me know whenever we can. I'll let you know, and then hopefully the next one we can do live with video, and then that we could be there around the cars. And if not, what we'll do is I'd love to do one with you, maybe a short one, like a 10-minute or a 15-minute video on an IG. at the April 17th show, which will be a really amazing show. And I definitely want to go live on IG with that and do a couple videos for YouTube and all that. So I'd love to just maybe call you in. And then, around actually that one, that's going to be a little bit hard because it's going to be, you're going to have to stay up for that one because it's going to be from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. So that'll be like the middle of the night, I think, for you, right?
Yeah, exactly. If it's 10 p.m., then it's 4 in the morning.
Okay.
Maybe we could do great on video.
Then what's that? I'll be on video. I'll be on video. You could be voice.
Yeah, that's funny.
But you always look great. What are you talking about? You look fantastic. All your pictures are always great, and some of your pictures were getting a little, like I mentioned in your Instagram, I was like, oh, this is getting a little more personal. I see what's going on here. No racetrack days. Like it was nice.
That's a tricky thing. I mean, what should I do, right? So
no, of course not. It was great to see you. You like just you, not like not Laura the race car driver, but Laura the person.
Exactly.
So, very nice. Awesome. Okay, Laura. So we'll let you go. And we'll keep in contact, and I will keep you updated. If you can send me those links by whatever, WhatsApp or whatever, so I have them. So when I write up the full description, we'll have that there.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Thank you so much for your time and for inviting me again. Yeah.
Likewise. Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much.
Stay safe. Thanks.
It was great. You too. Bye.